excited and very nervous right now, so I'm sorry if I take long breaks or stutter at all. But I'm here today to share my testimony and my story of my experience, and I hope and pray that God uses this story to reach whoever He needs it to, and use it to encourage and bring hope and better understanding to what a deep relationship with Jesus really means. First off, I was very blessed to be born into a loving Christian family. I was exposed and involved in church my whole childhood, so I had some knowledge on who Jesus was. My parents were pretty strict and tried to keep us safe from the evil in the world and pop culture, so I had a lot of peace and self-love and confidence as a child. I was also very curious and loved exploring and finding new experiences. Then came late elementary school, grades 6 to 8, where I got more exposed to the world and grew a lot of lustful and just overall bad addictions and desires. I started to care a lot of what people thought of me and my image, and that led me to lose my self-confidence and not really know who I was or where I fit in. Then high school came where things just got 10 times worse. I was extremely exposed to a lot of bad new things here and got a lot more involved with these new experiences and addictions without any second thought, because to me it was just exciting and thrilling and not a big deal. I tried searching for my place in this new environment, and because of my lack of self-identity, I didn't know where to fit in as myself. So I started changing who I was and lying to myself so I could fit in and feel like I belonged. This led me to put myself in a group of people that was very bad for me, but I didn't realize it because it was all just about finding a place to fit in. This new identity I created for myself led me into more addictions and sin, which I was very involved in. I started to throw away my morals for this image I was so worried about building up. And before I knew it, I was fully living for the world. I would go out every weekend, steal, smoke weed, being hateful and rude to people, going to these parties, hooking up with girls, and being dishonest, and just growing a very bad reputation for myself. I started prioritizing this fake identity in life over everything. I ended up failing all my classes and just completely losing who I was. I was relying on drugs for a for a sense of enjoyment and peace, and I grew an extreme addiction where I would only go to school every day just to smoke. And this brought me to a deep depression and lack of purpose. This identity started crashing down because I wasn't very good at faking who I was. I lost a lot of my friends, and very few people actually really liked me. I didn't have any motivation or confidence anymore, but for some reason I kept trying. I ended up in an extremely dark place where I was left with no hope, purpose, confidence, motivation, or joy. I was then kicked out of my school for the rest of the year since I wasn't going to my classes or doing work. So I was just stuck at home in my darkness, and I grew in need of something new deeply. That's when I found out that this person that was supplying me with weed lived near me, and I decided to steal money from my parents and go meet him. I was so empty at this time and was just searching for anything to fulfill me. So I was meeting with this guy, and that's when he offered me mushrooms. I was not very familiar with mushrooms, so it led to a very bad situation where I'd taken way too many, and it was a big deal where my whole family got involved, the police got involved, and my school got involved, but most importantly, God got involved. After this whole situation, I wasn't allowed to leave my parents' side for a while, and they had a church planting meeting in Toronto, so I had to go with them. Here I was very exposed to the Holy Spirit. This time was very hard for me, and I was just very lost and left there with this trauma and hopelessness and loneliness. I had so many questions, but nobody I could ask them to. I felt nobody could ever understand the way I feel, and that the only thing I could turn to was more drugs and more worldly things. I didn't even realize that those things were just like hamster wheels and would never actually fulfill me. At this meeting, I met a lot of very nice people and actually had a pretty good time. Even though I found Christianity weird and cringy at the time, it just seemed like all fake, like a rule book and just like acting and people trying too hard to be happy and nice. Then, on the ride home from this trip, I decided to just open up to my parents and be open-minded to what they had to say. because I was so desperate for answers. This conversation went on for a while. It was very good and somewhat helpful. About halfway through this 2-hour-long talk, God said it's time for me to experience Him for the first time. I had the sudden thought and wonder of why my little brother's middle name was Ronald. And this led to ask about my middle name too. And then they told me that they named me after the verse Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." And it was like the scales I never even knew I had were being peeled off my eyes. Even though I had heard that verse so many times in my life, it was like I was hearing it for the first time. I really felt the hope spark in my heart, like this realization or epiphany that just hit me so hard. And God started to speak to me. He reminded me of all these things in my life, and it was just like this wow moment where everything started adding up and making sense. And He reminded me of something my parents told me a long time ago that I can't explain how I remembered. These wonderful people, Sarah and Milan, a while ago, they told my parents about 5 to 6 years ago that they couldn't sleep because they had such a strong feeling that God would use me in the future and that God would literally prosper me and give me a hope in the future, like the verse states. It was literally the most hope and joy I'd ever felt. I finally felt confidence and hope and purpose. Then I thought to myself, why am I going through all of this stuff then? I didn't even have a chance to say that thought out loud before my mom said. And that's why the enemy is working so hard on you, because he doesn't want you to realize who you are in Jesus. And that's when I was just like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe that I was really experiencing this right now. I just wanted to cry from happiness. It was like God was revealing what was literally sitting right in front of me this whole time. And God has literally been waiting for this moment through all my struggle and all my life, and He's been rooting for me, even while I was running away from Him. It was real to me now. I had the answers to everything. I came home with my head literally in my hands as God was actually talking to me and filling me with peace and grace and purpose and identity. God revealed to me many things that night, some that are a little more personal, that are between me and Him for now. It wasn't until around a month later that I decided to look more into this calling I had and started acting out in this faith. And I started experiencing God's work in my life and literally change and turn me into a new person fully. I started to pick up these little crosses I had in my life and start cleaning up. I remembered the first time I decided to really pray and talk to God, and it was really an unexplainable feeling. I felt so close to Him, like He was just right in front of me, and I was just talking to a friend. I'd never felt that before. The love and grace I felt was incredible. I grew this whole new life with God, and it was so much fun going through this journey of coming into the light. It was like I found real life and purpose the way God intended it to be in the beginning. I can't explain how real this relationship is with God, how beautiful